Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to cover the current affairs. For mobile optimized ebooks, please install GKToday Academy app. For regular updates, please join our Telegram channel. This is the name of Telegram channel, GKToday YouTube. Now we have started a new channel, Civils Academy, so you can subscribe to it if you find it relevant. Now, let's start. The Mars test rocket of which space company was successfully flight tested with an upward landing? So, it is SpaceX. SpaceX is headed by Elon Musk, and recently SpaceX was in news because of this test. So recently it flight tested the prototype of its Mars rocket ship. Now recently Mars was also in news because of Hope probe. So it was a Mars mission of UAE, and UAE became the first Arab nation to launch a mission on Mars, and it was done with the help of Japan. Apart from that, recently China also launched its first Mars mission, and it was Tianwen-1. Which technology company has partnered with Prasar Bharati for AI-enabled Independence Day celebrations? So recently, Prasar Bharati and Google collaborated for this event. That means now, with the help of Google, the feeling of singing the national anthem in the schools will be recreated using artificial intelligence technology. Now Google was also in news as recently it partnered with Maharashtra, and Maharashtra became the first state to partner with Google India to provide learning tools for schools. Now Maharashtra was also in news because of Project Platina. Maharashtra was also in news as recently former Chief Minister of Maharashtra Shivajirao Patil passed away. Which financial institution has announced to set up an innovation hub for the financial inclusion? So it is an initiative of RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India. So this innovation hub will be set up to assist the startups to tackle the challenges of financial inclusion. What is the meaning of financial inclusion? That means people and the businesses have the access to financial products. Recently, RBI was also in news as it assigned PSL status, that is Priority Sector Lending status, to startups. Present RBI Governor is Mr. Shaktikant Das. Now, in the context of startup, we have startup policy. Answer in comment box which ministry is the nodal ministry for this startup policy. And then we have a stand-up policy, Stand Up India. So please read about these two policies, Startup India and Stand Up India. India extended a line of credit of $18 million to which country to expand fishing facilities? So this country is Maldives, and this line of credit is part of line of credit that has been offered by India to the Maldives. So the entire amount is, that means entire line of credit amount is $800 million, and out of which $18 million were recently given to expand the fishing facilities. Now Maldives was also in news as recently it became the 54th member of Commonwealth. The capital of Maldives is Malé. Recently, the country was also in news because of Operation Sanjeevani. So it was an operation of Indian Air Force, and as per this operation, India provided medical assistance to the Maldives. What is the enhanced limit for loan against gold after the recent direction of Reserve Bank of India? So the enhanced limit is 90%, and recently RBI increased the amount of loan that banks can provide against the pledge of gold ornaments and jewelry. Now as per the new guidelines, for non-agricultural purpose, banks can give 90% of the pledged gold as loan. Previously, the limit was 75%. Now please note that this will only be applicable to the banks, and this will not be applicable to the gold loan companies, and it will be valid till March 2021. Now recently RBI was also in news because of Monetary Policy Committee. So it is a 6-member committee, out of which 3 are appointed by the government and 3 are from Reserve Bank of India, and it is chaired by RBI Governor. RBI was also in news as recently it signed currency swap agreement with Sri Lanka. So it signed $400 million currency swap agreement with Sri Lanka. Now Sri Lanka was also in news because of parliamentary elections. So recently parliamentary elections held in Sri Lanka, and Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is present Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, his party won the parliamentary elections. His brother Gotabaya Rajapaksa is the President of Sri Lanka as of now. Which institute won the first prize in the Smart India Hackathon 2020. So recently DIAT, that is Defense Institute of Advanced Technology, won the first prize in the Smart India Hackathon. And this hackathon was organized by AICTE and Ministry of Human Resource Development. So this DIAT is under Defense Ministry. So why this DIAT won this award? The DIAT team developed a technology, and the name of this technology is Drishti. So this technology will use artificial intelligence to recognize the face and facial expressions. And for this technology, DIAT won this first prize in the Smart India Hackathon. Now coming back to this MHRD. So MHRD is Ministry of Human Resource Development. Now it has been renamed as MOE. That means Cabinet recently approved the renaming of MHRD as MOE, that is Ministry of Education. Now Defense Ministry was also in news as recently Defense Minister announced negative list of 101 products. What is the meaning of negative list? That means these products will not be imported, and the security forces are going to procure these products from the Indian suppliers only. That means from the domestic manufacturers only, and these products will not be imported. So recently a negative list of 101 products was released by the Defense Ministry. Defense Ministry was also in news as it recently released a draft, and it is a draft for defense production and export promotion. Sadia Dehelvi, who passed away recently, was associated with which profession? So she passed away recently, and she was well-known writer, and she was the editor of Urdu journal, and the name of this journal was Bano. Which Indian Armed Police Force took over the security of Leh Airport? So recently CISF, that is Central Industrial Security Force, took over the security at the strategic Leh Airport. That means previously local police was responsible for its security. Now CISF will be responsible for this. And the name of this airport is Kushok Bakula Rinpoche Airport. So this airport is in Leh. Now CISF is part of CAPF, that is Central Armed Police Force, and it is under MHA, that is Ministry of Home Affairs. CISF was also in news as CISF is celebrating 2020 as Year of Mobility. It was also in news as recently it launched e-Karyalaya for the movement of files. So it means e-office. Who is the chairperson of expert committee on debt resolution, which has been constituted by RBI? So this committee will be headed by Mr. KV Kamath, and this committee will recommend the debt resolution plans to RBI. Now Mr. Kamath is the former president of New Development Bank. The new president has been announced, and he is Marcos Trojo. So he is from Brazil. Now this New Development Bank is an initiative of BRICS. What is BRICS? It is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So the headquarters of this New Development Bank is in Shanghai, and it is in China. Now there is an organization named after Shanghai. It is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Its headquarters is in Beijing, and the first regional office of New Development Bank is in Johannesburg in South Africa. Who was the chairperson of All India Handicraft Board, which has been abolished recently? So recently Government of India abolished All India Handicraft Board, and it also abolished All India Handloom Board. So this All India Handicraft Board was headed by Minister of Textiles. Now recently National Handloom Day was celebrated, and it was on 7th of August. Now present Minister of Textiles is Smriti Irani. Recently she was also in news as she launched mobile app for Handloom Market Scheme. In addition to this, recently #Vocal for Handmade campaign was in news. So this is a social media campaign which has been launched to promote the handloom products. Where is the headquarters of IBBI located? IBBI stands for Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. So it is in New Delhi. Recently it was in news because IBBI has amended the regulations related to liquidation process. So IBBI is the apex institute to implement IBC. What is IBC? It is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So this code was released in 2016. Now in this context, please read about few terms. First is stressed assets. Second is DRT, that is Debt Recovery Tribunal, and NCLT, that is National Company Law Tribunal. And third is what is liquidation process? What is the meaning of liquidation? So please read about these terms. Which organization signed Memorandum of Understanding with IIT Delhi to set up a Center of Excellence for using artificial intelligence in decision making? So for this, recently NHAI signed this MOU with IIT Delhi. What is NHAI? It is National Highway Authority of India and it is under Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. Recently NHAI was also in news as it became the first construction sector organization to be fully digital. NHAI was also in news as recently Government of India extended the tenure of NHAI chairperson. Present NHAI chairperson is Mr. Sukhbir Singh Sandhu. NHAI was also in news because of Gati portal, and this Gati portal is similar to Pragati portal. This Pragati is an initiative of PMO, that is Prime Minister's Office. Sirley N Girau, who passed away recently, was associated with which field? So C was associated to literature. She passed away recently and she was Pulitzer Prize winner. Genoa San Giorgio Bridge, which was in news, is located in which country? So this bridge is in Italy, and recently it was in news because it was inaugurated recently. Now Italy was also in news as it is the host of G20 Summit in 2021. India will host G20 Summit in 2022. India will also host Interpol conference in that year. The headquarters of Interpol is in Lyon in France. Recently France was also in news because of Hammer missiles. It was also in news because of Rafale. Now coming back to Italy again, Italy was also in news as the headquarters of FAO is in Italy in Rome. What is FAO? It is Food and Agriculture Organization. Recently, this organization released a report and it is Global Forest Assessment Report. And as per this report, more than 54% of the world's forest is in 5 countries. These 5 countries are Russia, Brazil, Canada, USA, and China. What is the name of new interactive center on the Swachh Bharat mission located near Rajghat in Delhi? So the name of this center is Rashtriya Swachhta Kendra. So recently this was in news because of new inauguration and it is a part of SBM, that is Swachh Bharat mission. So this Rashtriya Swachhta Kendra complex will have audio and video to show and to explain the journey of our country in the implementation of Swachh Bharat mission. The Swachh Bharat mission has 2 components. One is urban component, one is rural component. So for this rural component, Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation is the nodal ministry. For urban component, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is the nodal ministry. Now recently MOH and UA, that is Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry, was also in news because of TULIP initiative. What is the full form of TULIP? The Urban Learning Internship Program. And for this program, MHRD, that is Ministry of Human Resource Development, and Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs collaborated. Now MHRD was also in news as now it is going to be MOE, that is Ministry of Education. This Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs was in news as it is the nodal ministry for PM Swanidhi scheme, and this is a scheme for street vendors, and recently SIDBI was made implementing authority for the scheme. Conclave on the transformational reforms in higher education was organized by Education Ministry along with which institution? So this was organized with the help of UGC, that is University Grants Commission. Now Education Ministry, that is Ministry of Education, was also in news because of new education policy. The first education policy was launched in 1968 and the key points of this new education policy of 2020 are 5+3+3+4 structure. The GER target, that is gross enrollment ratio targets for higher education, are 50% by 2035. For primary, that means for preschool to secondary level education, the GER target is 100% by 2030. Now a detailed video on this national education policy is already uploaded on Civils Academy channel. You can watch it if you want to know more. So these were the most important questions of today's quiz. Now we are going to cover important news. Feel free to skip it at your own risk if you do not like the format. So first news is related to new industrial policy. So recently Gujarat was in news as it announced new industrial policy. Next is Loya Jirga. What is the meaning of this term? It means mass gathering. That means public gathering. So recently Afghanistan was in news because of this Loya Jirga. So this assembly of people was called to decide about the people from Taliban who have been convicted for the serious crimes. So this Loya Jirga is related to Afghanistan, and the meaning of this term is mass gathering. That means public gathering. Next is Milne Ice Shelf. So recently this ice shelf was in news as it is the last fully intact ice shelf in Canadian Arctic. And recently this was in news because it started collapsing. So this is the last fully intact ice shelf in Canadian Arctic. Next is Pingali Venkaiah. So on 2nd of August, his birth anniversary was celebrated. Now, who is Pingali Venkaiah? He was a freedom fighter and he was the designer of our national tricolor. That means the national flag which we see today was designed by him. And this national flag was officially adopted by Indian National Congress, that is INC, in 1931. Next is spotted in illegal wildlife trade. So recently Traffic India released this report, and as per this report, Uttarakhand and Maharashtra had the highest leopard poaching. What is Traffic? It is a non-governmental organization. The headquarters of Traffic is in Cambridge in UK, and in 1976 it was founded as a strategic alliance of WWF, that is Worldwide Fund for Nature, and IUCN, that is International Union for Conservation of Nature. Next is Kawaj 2020. So it is a military exercise and India is going to take part in this military exercise, and this will be in Russia. So it is a multinational military exercise. Next is PS Ranipse. So PS Ranipse has been appointed as Inspector General of CRPF. What is CRPF? It is Central Reserve Police Force. So it is also a part of CAPF, that is Central Armed Police Force, and CAPF are under MHA. Next is CSIR FSSAI. What is CSIR? It is Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. So recently CSIR and FSSAI signed a Memorandum of Understanding for Information Dissemination. So CSIR is under Ministry of Science and Technology, and FSSAI, that is Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, is under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Next is Gandhian Young Technological Innovation, that is GYTI. So recently GYTI awards were announced and it was given to a group of researchers from IIT Kharagpur. Why they were selected? Because they developed a mechanism for generating electricity from the wet clothes left under sunlight. So for this process, they were selected for this Gandhian Young Technological Innovation Award. Next is One District, One Product. So recently Uttar Pradesh was in news because of this initiative, as Uttar Pradesh government has partnered with Flipkart. So now, as per this partnership, different artisans, weavers and craftsmen covered under this One District, One Product scheme will now be covered under the Smart initiative of Flipkart. Next is Quit India Movement. So recently, the 78th anniversary of this Quit India Movement was observed, and it was on 8th of August. So on 8th of August in 1942, Gandhiji launched this Quit India Movement. Next is reservation of seats for women in village employment councils. So recently, Meghalaya cabinet approved this policy on reservation of seats for women in village employment councils. Next is Air Suvidha portal. So this portal has been developed for all the international passengers arriving across India, and this has been developed at Delhi Airport. Next is electric vehicle policy. So this was recently announced by Delhi government. Next is PNB Housing Finance. So Mr. Hardyal Prasad has been appointed as new MD and CEO of PNB Housing Finance. And next is Thalweg Doctrine. So recently this doctrine was in news because of the new map which has been released by Pakistan. So please read about this doctrine and please check which places has been included in the Pakistan map. You should be aware about their geographical locations, as Pakistan has illegally claimed Indian territories as their own. So that was all for the day. Thank you.